Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here as always. Today, right here, as you can see, is the 12th of February 12th, 2015, Gregorian calendar date. So we have two signs that we're dealing with. The first sign is the sun sign, as you're aware of, which is Aquarius. We have the sign of Aquarius here, the tarot card of the star. And Sagittarius is our moon sign that will be occurring in a couple hours from right now. We're still in that void of course period, and we have Sagittarius, tarot card of Temperance. Sagittarius is the truth bringer, the truth seeker. Sagittarius is Jupiter. Jupiter expands things. So we have truthfulness and we have an expansion of this truthfulness, and that's what goes on with the Sagittarian idea. So unconsciously we want to express with Sagittarius the truth of things. We want to get to the heart of things, express that. Things get expanded. We want to experience this expansion. Our conscious mind, the air, Aquarius, is there to express the fire. So we got these fire, these ideas of truthfulness underneath the surface that are trying to find a way to express themselves through Aquarius. We're still at a void, of course, just for a couple of hours till we actually get into Sagittarius for the moon sign. So that occurs at 10:46 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now some of the aspects we're going to deal with in the afternoon and later into the evening. First one, we have a sextile with Mercury. So we hit the truthfulness with the moon sign. Or subconscious mind hits this period of truthfulness, the truth seeker, and as it does so, Mercury jumps into the mix, shows up at the party a little bit later, and wants to find a way to how to communicate. Now that we've got all this new sense of truth and this new sense of what it is that we want to do and this expansion that's going on, it all seems so cool. Mercury says, well, how do I communicate this? How do I express this into the world? And so that's food for thought for the course of this afternoon. That mind is going to be going. What can we do? What can we change? How can we bring truthfulness to our life that's not here? What is in our life that's not true that we need to get rid of? So there's a lot of change, and remember, we're coming right off of Scorpio, which is all about that deep transformation. So we've gone through this deep transformation, and now we're going to apply that into expressing a new sense of truthfulness, because as we peel back the layers, we start to see more of what's underneath there. We get to the heart of the matter. Once we get to the evening, we've got Saturn in the mix, and Saturn and Sagittarius are actually in a conjunction, which is like they're in the same house, same room. They're there at a party together. And Saturn is wanting to be disciplined. Says we need to be disciplined. We can't be running around so crazy and just unfocused. So discipline in this regard is about focus, wanting us to focus, okay? Because remember, Jupiter expands. Jupiter is the planet that deals with Sagittarius. It's the ruling planet over Sagittarius. So we have this expansion, this truthfulness, but Saturn says you're expanding. We want to be focused on what we're doing. We don't just want to expand for the sake of expanding and then not be able to, understand what is going on. We want to focus that energy so we can make it more practical, make it more useful. So that's a good positive thing, because as we are in this area here of truthfulness and we're learning how to communicate, we ultimately learn how to be more focused on the things we need to say, things we need to do, a little bit more disciplined in our life so that we can achieve the truthfulness that we want to have in our lives. And later this evening after 11 o'clock, Neptune gets involved with Sagittarius, and Neptune is saying, now that you've gone this route of Mercury looking how to communicate things and Saturn wanting to be more focused, now we're going to have to take a new perspective on things. Neptune says you got to flip yourself upside down and look at things in a whole new way. And once you do, we get past this wall, this block that's in our way. And remember, whenever there's one of these squares, it's an opportunity to learn something, a lesson that we need to learn, because we're going to get up to this wall and we're going to find a way around it, or over it, or under it, however we want to go. But once we get to the other side of it, we're going to start to make a different set of progress because we've learned a great deal about our own inner strength, how to go about things. Okay? You can see down here on the 18th, we got a new moon coming up next week. So that's where we're at. We're less than a week away from that. On the Jewish calendar, today is 23 Shavat. 23 Shavat. Daily thought, what is Aleph? We talked about Aleph the other day. A point above, a point below. What is an Aleph? A point above, a point below, and a line between. Whatever we may understand of him is but an infinitesimal point alone. The only way we can join with him is an infinitesimal point below. And what empowers us to become the 0 point below that resonates with the infinite point above? Our awe of him, a line that connects below to above. All right, good thought. Something to consider over the course of the day, how we are connected to the creative force of life. Here's that moon phase, third quarter, 45% of the way full, and we know that next week, next Wednesday, we'll be at that new moon. So the other 55% is going to be occurring over these next 6 days. Space weather, our solar wind is 327.4 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet in the 2 range. This coronal hole right here, it's right smack dab in the middle, definitely facing us. See it right there, and we have the notification that come this weekend we're going to be feeling the solar wind. M-class flare possibility, like yesterday, is at 30%. X-class is at 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity is the same as well, 15% in the mid-latitudes, high latitudes, 20%, 25%. That's about it. Okay? And up in the sky tonight, here we are on the 12th, right here. So we see the moon. Just to the left and a little bit lower, we got Saturn. And as we look below Saturn, we've got Scorpio and Taurus, Sagittarius over this direction. Okay, so we kind of get some ideas of what's going on. Here's that Saturn, that disciplinarian right there. Wants us to focus. Wants us to focus. Goes on to say, in early dawn, Friday morning the 13th, the waning moon forms a nice triangle with Saturn to its right and Antares below them is shown above. Okay, so just what I was saying. And that is our cosmic weather. Again, a compilation of the energies going around and that we're dealing with. There's a lot of energies around us. My phrase is everything is energy. That's one of my mantras. Everything is energy. And when we approach daily life from understanding that everything is an energy, we have an opportunity then to know how to move through it, because we are beings that move through energy. Energy moves through us. So as we live and breathe within this energetic field, the more that we understand what this energetic field is all about, the more that we're able to be more effective in life for ourselves first and foremost, and then once we're able to be more effective for us, it extends outward to the community, to others, that we're able to help them as well, because we've learned and we share. And one thing that we're good at is sharing information with each other. So once we get it and are able to share that with others, others pick up that and then they share it with others, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? So that's it. That's the cosmic weather. That's the energy we're dealing with. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First sighting takes us to Apollo 15, amazing UFO caught by Apollo 15 module. There's an object in question. A little bit more close-up view. This UFO was found by StreetCap1 of YouTube and shows an odd-shaped UFO in viewing distance in Apollo 15 mission module. Although some UFO discs are balls in shape, not all aliens have crap that lacks personality. This one, for example, shows a lot of uneven areas, which leads me to believe that it was a biomechanical ship, a living ship. All right, interesting indeed, very interesting ship. We've certainly seen ships that kind of have similar resemblance to this, though not quite in that color, but certainly in shape. All right, moving on. Apparent authentic film allegedly shows an alien from the Roswell incident. Here's the image right there. Here we have the eye, maybe the mouth, or the nose, or the top of the head here. Uncensored magazine claims that a 1940s film was recently discovered showing the U.S. military personnel carrying remains of an alien. The New Zealand Australian magazine first posted the video to its website January 22nd by its editor, Jonathan Eisen, and was uploaded to YouTube recently. The titled Roswell, original footage of dead alien rediscovered by uncensored editor. The video allegedly shows not only dead alien body, but also people who carried it away from the military ambulance or out to the military ambulance to a particular place. The post in the magazine cites All News Pipeline, an alternative news site, as their source of the story. Indeed, the All News Pipeline published a story of the video of the 13th of January titled, Is This the Real Roswell Alien UFO Footage? According to the source, technical people of Uncensored did frame-by-frame analysis prior to testing the footage online, and these people determined that the video was legitimate in every aspect. Source says that it has sufficient clues to ascertain that the footage came from the late 40s. Uncensored writes about the video. Video states that the images from the footage were posted in the magazine. It adds the completed footage to itself. Okay, I don't think this has anything to do with what we're looking at, so we're not even going to deal with it. So anyway, there you have it. So there's our image right here. I guess this is showing the handing over the footage. Let's jump ahead a little bit. There we go. Here's the footage he's allegedly watching here. Alright. It's a little 2-minute, 32-second movie. There you go. There's our dead alien. Okay. So check it out. Here we have something else. This looks like it's probably more of the, there's go, 38 seconds. Interesting indeed, huh? So there it is. The footage allegedly from Roswell and the dead alien and all the humans looking at it. Moving on from Roswell. Enormous 1-mile-wide UFO seen by 2 deputies in Brazoria, CountyTexas remains a mystery. On the back roads of Brazoria County, somewhere between Damon and West Columbia, along Highway 36, they still talk about a pair of purple and blue lights. It's the story of Brazoria County Deputy Bob Goad and Chief Deputy Billy Edwin McCoy. It was September 3rd, 1965. McCoy's son Kevin was 8 years old at the time. I remember the excitement, he said. Dad said what he remembered more than anything is he said it just absolutely scared the hell out of him. The story heavily detailed the Brazoria County lore, but also in the government document something goes like this. It was 11 p.m. and the deputies were from... Okay, we're going to skip that there, but you can see there's a news report for you to check out. It's 4 minutes 26 seconds. Goes on to say that saw mysterious blue and lights on the horizon. The lights eventually grew so close and intense that they filled the inside of their squad car. They swore that they saw some form of spaceship, a football field long. Both men would eventually draw almost identical sketches of the object for investigators to see. They were just scared to death whenever this thing came, and they were screaming, "Go, go, get up out of here," said Kevin McCoy, who said his dad was absolutely convinced what he saw was real. He firmly, from the time he saw it to the day he died, said it was real, no doubt. We missed our chance to talk to the men about the UFO. Getty was 50 years old at the time of the unexplained event, almost 50 years. Bill McCoy, at 86, died last year. But at the Brazoria County Historical Museum, Bill McCoy has his own file, and it includes his own voice, a tape recording from 1985, the 2-hour interview 20 years after the UFO incident was part of an oral history program by the museum to document and record the experience of some of its noted residents. McCoy discusses his life in Brazoria County and his career as a chief deputy and as a businessman. Several pages of the transcript are devoted to the UFO counter of 1965. Right? Moving on. Here we have a compilation of sightings that have occurred so far in the month of February, and the video has been removed by the user, so we don't have the compilation. It was there this morning, and now it is gone. Just like the Project Blue Book papers. Gone. Alright, so if it shows up, well, we'll find it. Hovering UFO over Gothenburg, Sweden, February 9th. This just shows just new amazing footage of glowing UFO sighting recorded in the night sky above Gothenburg, Sweden, February 9th, 2:15 at 18:40 p.m. There we go. See the lights right there? Right here. They're just kind of hanging up there in the air. Okay. UFO sighting above Lima, Peru, the 10th of February. Take a look at Lima. See what this footage here is all about. Okay, now we saw this one the other day. This is just another look at it. Here we have the stabilized image. And here's another view of it as well. Okay. So there you go, and one more. UFO Digest article, Paralyzing UFOs and Secrecy. A popular government without popular information or the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to the farce or a tragedy, or perhaps both. James Madison Jr. was an American statesman, political theorist, and the 4th President of the United States. There are two things I know with certainty about the UFO phenomena. One is that the phenomena is real, says author Robert Salas. That is, real objects of unearthly origin are visiting our airspace. My second certainty is that the phenomena of people being abducted by sentient beings who are operating these unknown craft is a reality. These conclusions do not come from hypothesis, guesses, theories, or concepts that I use to convince myself of these realities. They come from my life experiences. The Stentorian statement is backed by Robert Salas. 32 years he had worked for the government, 7 years on active duty as a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy, a weapons controller, launch officer for intercontinental ballistic missiles, Air Force propulsion engineer at Martin Marietta on the Titan III program, and 21 years for the FAA as an aircraft structure engineer. Nothing, however, gives him as much spiritual and etheric power to speak on the topic as to when he was witness to March 24, 1967, shutdown of 10 ballistic missiles that went dead, 20 shut down in a week, crap out from their alert status. So we go to March 16, 1967. UFOs were seen more frequently around the areas vital to the defense of the United States. The Los Alamos, Albuquerque area, Oak Ridge, White Sands Proving Grounds, rated high. Ruppelt Edward J. reported unidentified fosters. Okay, it comes from there. Salas recounts events that Airman Smith, a pseudonym, participated in an invasion when he worked at Echo site on March 16, 1967 as a targeting technician. Smith was notified that the missiles had gone down as they were working on the Echo Flight LF. At some point of the acquisition of the auto collimator, a failure occurred. This time the top side security guard shook the ladder in motion for Airman Smith to come up to the ladder. When he reached the ground level, he could see a large glowing orange-colored sphere stationary about 30 degrees from the horizon in the direction of the gate or close to the site. Airman Smith notified the team chief, who was visibly frightened by the sight of the object. Smith ordered the shaken guard to report the sighting to the wing commander post through the sensitive information network, but the line would not connect. Smith and 2 other team members tried the startup procedure several times, only to crap out at collimator acquisition. The object was still above the site while this was happening. Smith observed the objects to pulsate and give off a low hum, and he felt an electrostatic energy coming from the object. The object was present for at least an hour. However, the guard told him that if it would periodically move away for a short time and then return. After considerable inhibiting the startup, it left the area. The missile was then brought back to alert status with no anomalies whatsoever during the culminator's acquisition. Salas also relates an incident of a technician called Tex. This may also have been Smith. UFO researchers Jean Castile and John Weigel, they relate the tale. Further confirmation came from the source called Tex, who prefers to remain anonymous since he is currently the vice president of a preeminent aerospace company. Tex says that he was working through a checklist to bring an Echo flight missile back online when a guard called him to the surface to see a UFO hovering over the site. He returned to his work and started to bring the missile back up. He gets a certain point in the checklist, Ellis said, and the missile shuts down again. The object is still there. In fact, he can feel the electrical energy coming down the tube right where he is. He said he felt almost like he was immersed in static electricity, but he tried this many times. He said trying to bring the missile back onto alert status using his checklist. When he got to the particular point of the checklist, he said the missile shut down again. Right? Says to Tex, whatever it was, he knew exactly how the missile system worked and that they knew it in great detail. Salas received a call from the flight security controller reporting strange lights above the facility observed by several security personnel. The lights moved erratically and would sometimes hover in reverse direction, often at high speeds. The FSC called again and agitatedly told that the object was hovering over the front gate. Salas ordered them to stand ready with the weapons and let no one enter. Salas alerted Colonel Fred Meerwald as they began to get audible alarms and indicator lights on their status board. All of the missiles were indicating no-go. They were all disabled. Fred Meerwald phoned that the no-go status on the Oscar flight to the wing command post. Meerwald stated the same thing happened to another flight. Salas later discovered the Oscar flight incident was not mentioned in any of the reports. Alright, there's more to the story. I'm going to leave you to read it, but you kind of get the idea. Again, missiles get shut off. Now, is that so strange? Should that be a cause for concern? Well, for a warlike society like we are, it is a concern because our warlike society wants to blow things up. They want to kill things. That's what a good deal of our unfortunate, uneducated, unevolved humanity wants to do. Blow things up, kill things. Somebody didn't want them to do that and sent them a message. People may say, well, why would they have to send a message to America? Send it someplace else. Let the other countries know. Fact of the matter is, there's only been one country in the entire world which has actually been so evil as to release a nuclear bomb. And guess what country that is? That's right, good old US of A. So before we start pointing fingers at anybody else, we need to take care of the crap in our own backyard. And by crap, I mean all of the evil intended individuals in this country that think that killing and blowing things up is the way we need to do and live our lives. Completely incorrect. And through all of their evil intentions spread into the world, look what the world has become. Look where we're at now in the United States. Maybe we thought that we were high in the hog for a while because of all the wonderful technology we have to go fight the wars, but now we're starting to see the downside of things, aren't we? Starting to see that it's not working out so well for us. We need to be more peaceful individuals. We need to understand what's going on. And it's not about killing. And rather than being afraid that these extraterrestrials are out to get us because they shut off the missiles, maybe realize that if they could have shut off the missiles, they could have taken everyone out at that base. But they didn't. They simply wanted to send a message. Don't be blowing things up. Find a way of peace. But we still haven't gotten it. Still haven't quite gotten it down here because, well, unfortunately, we have evil-minded individuals that are working around the world to see to it that this world is destroyed. And we just need to stand up against this. And the best way we stand up is to be aware of it, to share this information. And by sharing the truth of what's going on and understanding, we can fix the problem. All right, there you go. That's our UFO news. Time to move on.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continuing on. So, the Nag Hammadi text. Why have we been looking at the Nag Hammadi text? Well, because we're finding information in here that is different than what is in our biblical source. We're finding that the stories in the Bible were edited, and we're seeing more full, more complete versions of the story. You see, it's unfortunate that humankind has been lied to for such a long period of time, but it's par for the course when we understand and we look at and we go through these readings that we've been doing. We see that there's the archons, the authorities, the rulers. There's, of course, Yaldabaoth, otherwise known as Yahweh, who is this fallen deity, fallen being that claimed to be God, the only God. Unfortunately, this was also the same one who appears to be responsible for humankind. And yet when we pick up the Bible, the Old Testament is the story of this warlike God, Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, who was rebelling against God. And so we have years and years and years of studying the Bible, studying these stories of a warmonger deity. Well, if we continue to follow that way, we're simply going to follow along and move into this state of Armageddon that is out there. Because when you follow a warlike being, guess what happens? War. That's why we keep having all these wars every year, because the men that they put in office around the world are all warlike beings. Obama came in as this peaceful being. He's not peaceful. He's an evil-minded guy. This guy, we don't even know about him in America. So many people are fooled by who he is and what he's about. He's a Muslim. He hates America. He hates white people. He's a racist. Probably, as we understand the story, he's also gay. His wife's a transvestite. And this man has no intention on wanting to see America grow. As a matter of fact, his objective is to tear America apart. So every day, it's hard for me to feel sorry for individuals who support this man and are unable to see past the lies that he's telling. So it's for this reason. Not only this particular one with Obama, he's just one of many liars that have been out there, one of many evil individuals. George Bush, Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, they're all part of that same mix, and it goes back and back to the Clintons, and it goes back before that. We have to understand that as long as we've been reading the texts that have been telling us lies, we're going to continue being in a screwed up situation. That's why we're digging into these other texts to see what some of the other writings are about, to see what was left out of the books that have gained such a big public notice. And as we go through, we start to see the discrepancies. You see, the only ones who can change what's going on is us. If God wanted to change this, in an instant it would be changed. But that's not what God apparently is wanting to do. God is giving us the opportunity to fix the problem ourselves by understanding the divinity that's within us and then allowing that to shine. And when we allow that divinity to shine, guess what? We find out that we're not here to kill other life, but to respect life. And so as we look around the world and we see all the challenges that are going on in this time when we're made aware that there is a new heaven and new earth that is being created as our dimensions pull apart, we see that we have an opportunity to either continue to be caught up in the muck or to move forward into a higher consciousness. And if the trap is set up for us to be stuck in the lower consciousness, these texts and what we're talking about here are solutions to get out of the trap. Solution? Simply be aware. Because through that awareness of raising our consciousness, that is a game changer. Because raising one's consciousness goes against what those who are trying to suppress are all about. Once you see what they're doing, the lies that they're telling, you can't be fooled. Once you understand the lies, it doesn't matter what mainstream news station you turn on, you understand that they're all lying. It's not just Brian Williams, it's all of them. And eventually, they're all going to get called to the carpet. I just hope that when some of them get called to the carpet and they have that come to God moment, I just hope it's on national TV so we can all see the look in their eyes when they realize how they have deceived the American people. I hope that's all broadcast because we, the American people, want to see this. And as far as I'm concerned, if all of these media personalities decided out of whatever that they needed to take their lives to leave the planet, good riddance. Good riddance. Couldn't happen quick enough for some of them. Because I'm tired of the lies. And I know you're tired of the lies. And I know many people around this planet are tired of the lies. But we continue to have. So as long as we continue to support the liars who are out there pushing racism and pushing war and pushing divisiveness and all this other nonsense that they do, there we're going to have a problem. So, instead of getting caught up in that, we're studying how to free ourselves. And the way we free ourselves is to rise above the state of ignorance by understanding the truthfulness of what's going on. And here, now that we've come again, full cycle with the moon, and now we're in this time of Sagittarius, that underlying principle of truth wants to rise to the surface. That's what we need to encourage. Truth. not lies. And when we look in the world, we see lie after lie after lie after lie after lie being told by those in power. For it's only going to change when we allow it to change. So, that's my little spiel for the moment. I could go on, but I'm not. I'm just going to let that be enough for the moment, and I'm going to continue on. This piece I pulled up for today is called The Exegesis of the Soul. Okay, so you could see where I picked it up. Here's the directory, the codex index, and it's right down here. I've gone through the Apocryphon of John, Gospel. We haven't done the Gospel of Thomas yet. The Gospel of Philip, Hypostasis of the Archons, Origin of the World. So we still have a couple others in this particular codex. We're going to get through all of these. Exegesis of the Soul is now. Translated by William C. Robertson, Jr. Wise men of old gave the soul a feminine name. Indeed, she is female in her nature as well. She even has her womb. As long as she was alone with the Father, she was a virgin and in form androgynous. But when she fell down into the body and came into this life, then she fell into the hands of many robbers, and the wanton creatures passed her from one another, and probably defiled her. Some made use of her by force, others did so by seducing her with a gift. In short, they defiled her, and she lost her virginity, I'm guessing. In the body, she prostituted herself and gave herself to one and to all, considering each one she was about to embrace to be her husband. When she had given herself to wanton, unfaithful adulterers, so that they might make use of her, then she sighed deeply and repented. But even when she turns her face from those adulterers, she runs to others, and they compel her to live with them and render service to them under their bed, as if they were her masters. Out of shame, she no longer dares to leave them, whereas they deceive her for a long time, pretending to be faithful, true husbands, as if they greatly respected her, and after all of this, they abandon her and they go. She then becomes a poor desolate widow, without help. Not even a measure of food was left for her from the time of her affliction. For from them she gained nothing except the defilements that they gave her while they had sexual intercourse with her. And her offspring by the adulterers are dumb, blind, and sickly. They are feeble-minded. But when the Father who is above visits her and looks down upon her and sees her sighing with her suffering and disgrace, and repenting of the prostitution in which she engaged, and when she begins to call upon his name so that he might help her, all of her heart saying, "Save me, my Father, for behold, I will render an account to thee, for I abandoned my house and fled from my maiden's quarters. Restore me to thyself again." When he sees her in such a state, he will then count her worthy of his mercy upon her, for many are the afflictions that have come upon her, because she abandoned her house. Now concerning the prostitution of the soul, the Holy Spirit prophesies in many places, for he said in the prophet Jeremiah, "If the husband divorces his wife and she goes and takes another man, can she return to him after that? Has not that woman utterly defiled herself? And you prostituted yourself to many shepherds, and you returned to me, said the Lord. Take an honest look and see where you prostituted yourself. Were you not sitting in the streets defiling the land with your acts of prostitution and your vices? And you took many shepherds for a stumbling block for yourself, and you became shameless with everyone. You did not call on me as kinsman or as a father or author of your virginity. Again it is written in the prophet Hosea, Come, go to law with your mother, for she is not to be a wife to me, nor I a husband to her. I shall remove her prostitution from my presence, and I shall remove her adultery from between her breasts. I shall make her naked as on the day that she was born, and I shall make her desolate, like a land without water, and I shall make her longingly childless. And I shall show her children no pity, for they are children of prostitution, since their mother prostituted herself and put her children to shame. For she said, I shall prostitute myself to my lovers. It was they who gave me my bread and my water and my garments and my clothes and my wine and my oil and everything I needed. Therefore, behold, I shall shut them up, and they shall not be able to run after her adulterers. And when she seeks them and does not find them, she will say, I shall return to my former husband. In those days I was better off than now. Again, he said in Ezekiel, it came to pass after much depravity, said the Lord, you built yourself a brothel, and you made yourself a beautiful place in the streets, and you built yourself brothels on every lane, and you wasted your beauty, and you spread your legs in every alley, and you multiplied your acts of prostitution. You prostituted yourself again to the sons of Egypt, to those who are your neighbors, men great of flesh. But what does the sons of Egypt, men of great flesh, mean, if not the domain of the flesh and the perceptible realm and the affairs of the earth, by which the soul has become defiled here, receiving bread from them as well as wine, oil, clothing, and the other external nonsense surrounding the body, the things she thinks she needs? But as to this prostitution, the apostles of the Savior commanded, guard yourselves against it, purify yourselves from it, speaking not just of the prostitution of body, but especially that of the soul. For this reason the apostles write to the churches of God, that such prostitution might not occur among us. Yet the great struggle has to do with the prostitution of the soul, for from it arises the prostitution of the body as well. Therefore Paul, writing to the Corinthians, said, I wrote you in the letter, do not associate with prostitutes, not at all, meaning the prostitutes of the world, or the greedy, or the thieves, or the idolaters, since they would have you go out from this world. Here it is speaking spiritually, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, as he said, but against the world rulers of this darkness and the spirits of wickedness. As long as the soul keeps running about everywhere, copulating with whomever she meets and defiling herself, she exists, suffering her just deserts. But when she perceives the straits she is in and weeps before the Father and repents, then the Father will have mercy on her, and he will make her womb turn from the external domain and will turn it again inward, so that the soul will regain her proper character. For it is not so with the woman, for the womb of the body inside the body, like the other internal organs, but the womb of the soul is around the outside, like the male genitalia, which is external. So when the womb of the soul, by the will of the Father, turns itself inward, it is baptized, and is immediately cleansed of the eternal pollution which was pressed upon it, just as garments, when dirty, are put into the water and turned about until their dirt is removed, and they become clean. And so the cleansing of the soul is to regain the newness of her former nature, and to turn herself back again. That is her baptism. Then she will begin to rage at herself like a woman in labor, who writhes and rages in the hour of delivery. But since she is female by herself, she is powerless to beget a child. From heaven the Father sent her man, who is her brother, the firstborn. Then the bridegroom came down to the bride. She gave up her former prostitution and cleansed herself of the pollutions of the adulterers, and she was renewed, so that as a bride she cleansed herself in the bridal chamber, she filled it with perfume, she sat in it waiting for the true bridegroom. No longer does she run about in the marketplace copulating with whomever she desires, but she continued to wait for him, saying, when will he come? And to fear him, for she did not know what he looked like. She no longer remembers, since that time she fell from her father's house, but by the will of the Father, and she dreamed of him like a woman in love with a man. But then the bridegroom, according to the Father's will, came down to her into the bridal chamber which was prepared, and he decorated the bridal chamber. For since that marriage is not like the carnal marriage, those who are to have intercourse with one another will be satisfied with that intercourse, and if it were a burden, they would leave behind the annoyance of physical desire, and they turned their faces from each other. But this marriage, but once they unite with one another, they become a single life. Wherefore the prophet said concerning the first man and the first woman, they will become a single flesh, for they were originally joined to one another when they were with the Father before the woman led astray the man, who is her brother. The marriage has brought them back together again. The soul has been rejoined to her true love, her real master, as it is written, for the master of the woman is her husband. All right, I'm going to leave it there. So we could easily look at this and we could easily say that they're talking about the physical body and the prostitutions and things of the physical world. But there's more to this story that's just about the physical body. It's about the soul. And as it says, the prostitution of the soul. And in this world we're living in, there's all sorts of ways in which we could prostitute our souls. We see every day politicians, world leaders, media personalities. They've all prostituted their souls. For what? To destroy. Because they don't know what they're doing. They're just out there running amok, thinking that what they're doing is helping, when in actuality all they're doing is tearing apart. So we have to learn and understand that if we want to make the progress we want to make, we have to stop prostituting our souls. We have to get in line with the divine nature that is who we are. We have to get in line with the Mother and the Father and understand the reality of life is much more than what we've been told. And when we realize this, when we come to understand this, things will be much different. We'll find our lives moving in a different way. So I'll finish this up tomorrow, but this is something to consider, because in this day and age, we are all given an opportunity. Are we going to buy the lies that are being told to us every day? When we turn on the television, the news, are we going to believe the lies that the politicians tell us? Are we going to go along with them to get along? Or are we going to be brave and are we going to stand up against this? For if we stand up against it, guess what? We'll find that our bravery is rewarded. We'll find that we have a new sense of strength because we're coming from a place of connecting with the true nature of who we are, the divine nature. And that's what is available for all of us. All we have to do is connect, move from the state of ignorance into the state of understanding. Now, part of the problem that we all have is we go through this veil of forgetfulness. We've heard this term over and over as we've been reading through the various texts here in the Nag Hammadi. The veil of forgetfulness. We come to this earth, we forget. Sometimes it's for benefit, sometimes not so much. Here's an article talking about this exact thing, about the veil of forgetfulness. This is from Greg Prescott at In5D. What is the veil of forgetfulness and what is its purpose? Why are so many people seemingly separated from their higher selves? How can I dissolve the veil of forgetfulness? Many people live their entire lives never knowing about the existence of the veil of forgetfulness. It serves three important purposes. It allows us to forget any trauma from previous lives, such as traumatic memories from Atlantis or Lemuria. It allows us to find ourselves without initially realizing our connection to Source. And it allows us to learn from the ego as well as to dissolve the ego. Some people have the ability to remember their past lives, while others learn about them through past life regression hypnotherapy. Both of these methods help to confirm the existence of the veil of forgetfulness. Near-death experiences. Others may have near-death experiences in which they temporarily reconnect with Prime Creator, only to come back to the 3D reality with a glimpse of what we can expect when we cross to the other side. But you may ask, why am I unable to remember my connection to Source? The clues are all around you through nature, animals, friends, family, etc. The divine love and the appreciation we feel for these things are a microcosm of the love we feel when we return back to the Source. In a 3D world of duality where fear is constantly imposed on us, it sometimes is difficult to remember the divine spark of light that we all have within us. We sometimes get reminders through synchronicities such as experiencing 1111 or other repetitive synchronistic numbers. Part of the challenge in this incarnation is re-remembering who you are along with your intimate relationship with Prime Creator. While at times it might seem that you're on this journey alone, the truth is you're not alone. You have spirit guides and guardian angels that love you so much and are always by your side. Ask them to help or assist because that's their job and they're eager to please you. Of course, they're not going to manifest a Porsche for you, but they will help guide you in non-materialistic ways that help you facilitate your spiritual journey. Your higher self serves as a guide and is not allowed to interfere with your free will, so it's your choice to ask your higher self for help or to choose otherwise. Remember this, if you ever doubted the presence of your higher self, spirit guides, or guardian angels, think about the times you used your intuition. Your intuition is usually one of these entities reminding you of something important. The veil of forgetfulness helps to lock in place duality, from which you'll learn many, many lessons. After all, that's one of the reasons why you decided to incarnate here at this particular time. In essence, it provides you opportunities for spiritual growth. This is why some people take longer to awaken than others. The veil of forgetfulness varies from person to person, and as you raise your vibrations, the veil starts to lift. Those people who are muddled in fear and lower vibrations have a more dense veil of forgetfulness, which presents them with ample opportunities to overcoming obstacles for spiritual growth. It is within their own free will to decide to stay locked in fear and begin their spiritual journeys. So how to lift the veil? An easy way to lift the veil is through meditation and clearing of your chakras. Meditation helps you free your mind from stress and fear. Clearing your chakras along with meditation helps you to facilitate your connection to the higher self and helps you to begin remembering the process. We are starting a new breed of humanity called the indigo children, who are born with little or no veils of forgetfulness. Their connection to source is direct, and they have concrete memories of their past lives. This is symbolic of the growth that we as collective have achieved on our spiritual journeys. In other words, many of us are at the end of the reincarnation process that involves entering into a 3D reality and are ready for the next stage of our journeys. As your veil begins to lift, you begin to notice a disdain for how things are done and will crave a new beginning, one that involves a collective compassion for humanity and our well-being. You'll find that fear is easily dissolved and replaced with love, as you are no longer buying into the old system of economic slavery. All right? It says 6 things to remember. Ask your higher self to help you in remembering who you are and your purpose for being here. Meditate to clear your chakras. Dissolve the ego. Eliminate fear. Stop watching TV and reading anything published by the mainstream media, and help others in this transition. All right, there's more to the article. I'll leave that for you. It says, word of advice. Before my daughter was born, I received some amazing advice. I was told, don't look forward to all of your milestones, such as the first time she walks, talks, etc., because you'll miss everything in between. The world is changing rapidly. Ultimately, we not only control our reality, but we create it as well. Despite having the veil of forgetfulness places over us, remember these days fondly and be appreciative for all the opportunities you've had to grow spiritually, and be thankful for the obstacles you've had to overcome. The light at the end of the tunnel grows brighter every day, and that light is you. All right? Good article, Greg. Good article from In5D. You know, it's not really that difficult. It's not that difficult. We know who the challenges are that we need to overcome, or what they are. We know who the problem makers are in this world. So we just need to stop listening to them. Stop listening to the presidents of the country, because all they're doing is spouting out nonsense. Stop listening to the media, because all they're doing is lying. That's what they do. They lie. Stop believing all of this BS that is being thrown at you. Stand in your own place of power, connect in with your higher self, and start to see through all of these lies. And when you do, you'll wonder why it took you so long to get to that place. But then once you're there, you'll never go back. All right, here's a message. This comes to us from the Hathors. There we go.
Hathors. Vibrational frequencies. How to stabilize your energies. Cosmic Update.
February 9, 2015. By Anna Merkaba.
Hathors.
The purification of cosmic Atlantean energies have begun their final descent onto the planet. The purification of cosmic Atlantean energies are underway, which is resulting in the disruption of various daily activities, the connectedness to the ethers and the connectedness to the time continuum. For the molecular structure of your earthly reality, and your planet and all living beings presently residing on your planet are undergoing a complete restructuring on the molecular level, in order to anchor in new energies coming forth from the benevolent star alliances as has been predisposed and predetermined eons past. For the stars of yesteryear are aligning into position in order to shower your planet with ethereal energies yet again, whereby the old energies are presently lifting off Gaia and are being transported into the ethers for healing and transmutation. The clashing of said energies is producing a time ripple effect which is sending waves of varying degrees affecting all who dwell on all timelines of your creation. and hence, the stabilization of said energies is underway via the etheric cleansing techniques introduced into your ethers eons past. The cleansing techniques involving various gemstones, such as citron, malachite, meteorite, black cohosh, vibrational essence, shungite, and emerald. These are the stones and essences for the coming of times. These are the stone that are to be utilized by many of you in order to restore your balance in the weeks to come. Place them upon your body wherever you feel a tingling sensation, wherever you feel misbalance occurring. These are the stones that shall prevent the ripple and waves of terror that may beseech you throughout the cleansing and purification phase that is underway. Stay in the light, dearly beloveds. Know that we are standing with you, ready to lend you a helping whenever you need us. That is all that we have for you now. We love you. We are with you. Goodbye for now.
All right. Again, another good positive message, just kind of telling us how to connect in, open ourselves up. Here's the next passage from the Warrior of the Light. The Warrior of the Light always managed to balance rigor and mercy. To attain his dreams, he needs a strong will and enormous capacity for acceptance. Although he may have an objective, that path that leads to the objective is not always as he imagined it would be. That is why the warrior uses a mixture of discipline and compassion. God never abandons his children, and his purposes are unfathomable, and he builds the road with our own steps. The warrior uses that combination of discipline and acceptance to fuel his enthusiasm. Routine was never at the head of any important new movement. All right? Brings us to our meditation. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. I want you to imagine that you are seated in a place overlooking the world. And I want you to imagine that you're looking at the television set and you're seeing the media, the mainstream news channels, and you see one to the next, and what you notice as you look at them is you begin to see these correspondents, these news anchors, these personalities there. You begin to see the dark cloud around them and the evil influence. You begin to understand the prostitution of their souls, which are taking place right before your very eyes, and you understand the lies that are coming from them. You continue to look around and you see the politicians around the world, here in America and everywhere else, and you begin to see the lies that they are telling, and you begin to understand the darkness that is motivating them. And as you contemplate all of the darkness and the words that are being shared by all of these media and political personalities, you begin to understand that there truly is a dark force out in the world. The good news is, once you realize this dark force is there, and you awaken to the realization of what it is doing, you now have the opportunity to change it. And the way we change it is by turning on the light within us. And as that light turns on, that darkness becomes a little less dark. And as the next person turns the light on, and one by one, as individuals wake up and turn the light on within them, this darkness dissipates. So much so that eventually this light gets to all of those who are deceiving. And imagine, as we're watching the mainstream channels, imagine that we just see this light so overwhelming that it just takes all of these media personalities that are there lying to you, and they just fade away into nothingness because they cannot sustain who they are, because they are so filled with darkness. The only solution is they need to be recycled. We imagine seeing the politicians around the world being affected by this light that we are shining, and we see them disappearing as well, because they cannot handle the light, because they are so filled with darkness. And one by one, as we turn the light on within us, we find that our courage increases, our strength increases, our faith increases, and the darkness dissipates. And we find that we are not powerless, but quite the opposite. We are actually quite powerful. So we shine this light brightly, knowing that this light is going out there and changing everything. And with this light and with this love, we, the good people of this earth who are wanting to stand in the light and the power of God, God of the entirety, as we go through all of these steps, we find that the world becomes the place we want it to be. We find ourselves rising and moving with the earth that is raising in consciousness. And we find all of those stuck in the old ways are just stuck with the old earth, the old ways. And we leave them to their own devices to lie to each other and to kill themselves off. Good riddance to them all. But we just keep allowing ourselves to ascend in consciousness, in light, in love, in faith. So imagine your subconscious mind walking that path of truthfulness, walking the path of faith, shining that light bright. And just imagine as you go through the world today that you're shining this light, that this light glows from inside so bright that it lights up the whole energy around you, and people see you and realize there's something different, but they can't put their finger on it. And just smile and just keep moving through the world, shining the light, sending out love. So let the subconscious mind on that journey of sending out light and love, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is our show today. Tomorrow I'll continue on with the Exegesis of the soul. We'll wrap up the week. Lots of good information, lots of great links to follow and read. I hope that you are. I appreciate all of your questions, your comments, your emails, whether it's at Facebook, whether it's at YouTube, whether it's just to the email, which is firstcontactradio@yahoo.com. I appreciate, thank you very much for joining me in this conversation, because it's not just me, it's all of us. We're all in this together, and when we all work together, there's wonderful things that we can all accomplish. So I thank you for all that you do to participate in this process of change and transition that we are going through. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.